Hi scholars, welcome back to another day of Read Aloud with me, Miss Luna. And today for Read Aloud, we are going to be reading the story, The Principal's New Clothes. So, all this week and last week and a couple weeks before, we have been reading fiction and non-fiction books. Ooh, non-fiction book chant, get ready, go. Non-fiction books are books about real things that teach us facts. Oh, and we know that fiction books are make-believe stories. Ooh, they are? Yeah, they're make-believe stories. So, I have a spicy question for you. Say, bring it on! Awesome. So my spicy question for you is, what kind of book is this? And how do you know? What kind of book is this and how do you know? Got it? So I'm giving you that question that I usually give you at the end of our story right now. So you can have it locked in your head, lock it in, and then that way you can be thinking about that question while I am reading this story. Got it? So remember, non-fiction books are books about real things that teach us facts. So we need to be looking for those non-fiction text features. Ooh, what are some of those non-fiction text features? What are they? That's right. Such as like table of contents, headings, diagrams, labels. Awesome. Ooh, even glossaries. Awesome. And then we know if we're reading a fiction book, it's because it's not really teaching us about facts. It's here to entertain us. It's here to entertain us, make us laugh, make us have a good time while we're reading the story. All right? So make sure you're looking out for those two different types of elements in our story. If it has non-fiction elements or if it has fiction elements. Got it? Awesome. Let's start reading. The Principal's New Clothes. Mr. Bundy is the principal of PS 88. He is also the sharpest dresser in town. His students never miss a day of school. They like to see what he is wearing. Looking good, Mr. B, they always say. Mr. Bundy has so many clothes. He can go a whole month and not wear the same suit twice. Sometimes he changes at lunchtime just to show off. Oh, scholars, go ahead and start thinking in your head. Go ahead and start thinking. What does Mr. Bundy like to show off? What does Mr. Bundy like to show off? Go ahead thinking of that answer in your head. Taking a couple more seconds to get ready to shout it out. All right, if you have your answer, you can go ahead and shout it out. Yeah, Mr. Bundy likes to show off his suits. And we know that because in our story, it says, Mr. Bundy has so many clothes he can go a whole month and not wear the same suit twice. Sometimes he changes at lunchtime just to show off, letting us know that he likes to show off his fancy suits. Awesome, let's keep on reading. One day, a man and a woman who said they were tailors called on Mr. Bundy. Their card said, Moe and Ivy, we make suits that suit you fine. But they were not really tailors, they were tricksters. Greetings, Mr. B, said Ivy. How would you like to buy an amazing, one-of-a-kind suit? I have so many suits already, said Mr. Bundy. But this is no ordinary suit, said Moe. It has special powers. Well, scholars, right now, before we move on to the next page, I want us to make a prediction. Ooh, we're going to keep that prediction in our head. Is this a fiction or non-fiction book? Fiction or non-fiction book? All right, if you think it's a non-fiction book, put your hand on top of your head. And if you think it's a fiction book, put your finger on your nose. All right, let's keep on reading and see. What do you mean? Asked Mr. Bundy. Mo looked to his left. He looked to his right. Then he whispered in Mr. Bundy's ear, "We make our clothes from special cloth. It is invisible to anyone who was no good at his job or just plain stupid." "Really?" said Mr. Bundy. "Yes," said Ivy. "Not only will you look great, but you can find out if anyone in your school is no good at his job or stupid." "That is amazing!" cried Mr. Bundy. Ooh, scholars, go ahead and start thinking in your head. Go ahead and start thinking. Why does Mr. Bundy like this suit? Why does Mr. Bundy like this suit? Why would he be liking this suit that they're trying to give him? Go ahead, thinking of the answer in your head. Taking a couple more seconds to get your answer in your head. All right, and you guys can go ahead and shout out your answer now. The reason why he likes this suit is because he wants to be able to figure out if anyone at their school is good at their job or not. And we know that because on our book, on page 8, it says, "Yes," said Ivy, "not only will you look great, but you can find out if anyone in your school is no good at his job or stupid." Letting us know that this might be one of the things that they're going to say to kind of trick him into buying the suit. Awesome work, scholars. Let's keep on reading. Now, if you'll take off your jacket and lift up your arm, sir," said Ivy, grinning, "we'll take your measurements." "We will also take your money," mumbled Mo. The next day, Mo and Ivy set up a workshop in the gym. It was not long before the whole school heard about the amazing cloth and wanted to see it. Students asked to be excused to get a drink of water. Then they ran to the gym to peek. Teacher said they were going next door to borrow chalk. Then they ran to the gym too, but no one could see a thing. By the end of the week, Mr. Bundy began to wonder what his new clothes looked like. But he was also a little worried. What if he could not see the cloth? So he sent his vice principal, Miss Moore, to have a look. Miss Moore was smart and good at her job. She would have no trouble seeing the special cloth. Miss Moore hurried to the gym. She knocked on the door. "Mr. Bundy sent me to see his new clothes," she called over the noise of the whirring machines. One moment later, the door opened a crack, and Miss Moore slipped inside. "What do you think?" asked Mo. "Have you ever seen anything like it?" Poor Miss Moore! She could not see a thing. "Can it be that I'm stupid or unfit for my job?" she wondered. "I've tried so hard to be a good vice principal." She took off her glasses, wiped them, and looked again. But it was no use. Miss Moore had to think fast. If she told the truth, she might get fired. It's beautiful," she said. "I'm going to tell Mr. Bundy right now how much I like his new clothes." Ooh, scholars, go ahead and start thinking in your head. Go ahead and start thinking. Why does Miss Moore say that the suit is beautiful when she can't see it? Why does Miss Moore say that the suit is beautiful when she cannot see it? Taking some time, thinking about your answer. Also looking for some evidence to help prove that your answer is true. Taking a couple of more seconds to think about your answer. All right, we have your answer. Go ahead and shout it out. Yeah, the reason why Miss Moore is saying that the suit is beautiful even though she cannot see it is because if she goes back and tells Principal Bundy, she's afraid that she might lose her job because, remember, they said in our book that the suit had a special cloth and and that the cloth was going to let him know the people who are good at their jobs are not. And Miss Moore does not want to go back and say she can't see the cloth because that means she's not good at her job. So that's why she's saying it's beautiful. Nice job, scholars. Let's continue reading. "Your suit is great," Miss Moore told Mr. Bundy. "I've never seen anything like it. And now I've got to run and make a phone call. Bye!" She hurried off before Mr. Bundy could ask any questions. Now Mr. Bundy was more curious than ever. He stopped Roger in the hall. Roger was one of the smartest students in the school. If he couldn't see the suit, nobody could. "Say, Roger," said Mr. Bundy, "do me a favor and find out how my new suit is coming along." Roger couldn't believe his ears. "Wow," he said, "I'll be the first one to see the principal's new clothes. Wait till the class hears about this." And he raced off to the gym. The door was still open, so Roger peeked inside. He could see Mo and Ivy at their sewing machines, hard at work. But he could not see the cloth. "Oh no," Roger thought. "If Mrs. Feeney finds out I can't see this cloth, she'll say I'm stupid. She'll fail me for sure." On the way back to his class, Roger poked his head into Mr. Bundy's office. "Super suit," he said. "What does it look like?" asked Mr. Bundy. "I can't stop now, Mr. B. Miss Feeney is giving a test, and I wouldn't want to miss it." Mr. Bundy couldn't stand it any longer. "I'll have to go see for myself." He marched down the hall and walked into the gym. Mr. Bundy looked at the empty machines. He blinked once. He blinked twice. He began to tremble. "How can this be?" he wondered. "Am I really no good at my job?" "Is there anything wrong?" asked Ivy. "Oh, no," said Mr. Bundy. "The suit it's fantastic. I can hardly wait to try it on." Mr. Bundy handed Mo and Ivy 2 gold stars to see how much he liked his new suit. "I'd like to wear the suit to the assembly tomorrow," he said, "but I guess it won't be ready." He turned to go. "Yes, it will," said Mo. "We'll work on it all night and bring it to your house in the morning." That night, Mr. Bundy dreamed cold and drafty dreams. Early the next morning, Mo and Ivy appeared, holding their empty hangers in the air. Ivy waited in the other room while Mo helped Mr. Bundy put on his new clothes. "You must be careful stepping into the pants," he said. "The cloth is very delicate." Ivy tried not to look at Mr. Bundy. "Aren't your new clothes light?" she asked. "It's almost like having nothing on at all, isn't it?" Mr. Bundy stared at himself in the mirror. He prayed that the rest of the world was smarter and fitter than he. "Are you coming to the assembly?" asked Mr. Bundy. "Thanks, but no thanks," said Ivy. "We have a bus to catch, and now, if you could pay us, we'll just run along." Mo handed Mr. Bundy the bill. Mr. Bundy handed Mo a great deal of money. On the way to school, Mr. Bundy's neighbors all raved about the clothes they did not see. After all, they did not want their friends to find out they were stupid or no good at their jobs. Mr. Bundy walked into the auditorium. As he walked down the aisle, he could hear whispers all around him. Mr. Bundy thought he must be the only stupid person in town. Suddenly, a kindergarten child called out, "The principal's in his underwear!" That did it. Everyone burst out laughing. The truth had been told. Mr. Bundy and the teachers and students knew they had been tricked. No one had been willing to tell the truth because they were worried about what others would think of them. Mr. Bundy stood on the stage, red in the face, knees shaking from the chill, but not for long. The kids and teachers wanted to help Mr. Bundy. They began passing up shirts and sweatpants, jackets and ties and caps. Soon Mr. Bundy had a new suit. "Looking good, Mr. B," called Roger from the back row. Mr. Bundy called the kindergarten child up onto the stage. He shook her hand and gave her a gold star. "Thank you for telling the truth, Alice," he said. Everyone cheered. Hooray! They knew Mr. Bundy was smart and good at his job, and they all agreed. And Mr. Bundy was still the sharpest dresser in town. The end. Wow, scholars, that was such a funny book. Now, going back to our spicy question challenge. So, Earlier I asked you, what kind of book are we reading? Now that we have finished reading our book, I want you guys to go get a piece of paper, and a pencil. And when this lesson is over actually, I want you to go ahead and write down your answer of what kind of book this is and how do you know. Remember, when you're answering this question, make sure you're using your race response. And when you're done, take a picture of your hard work because I want to see it and I want to show it off to everyone who's watching this videos. Got it? Well, scholars, thanks for joining me today and Read Aloud. Come back on Monday so you can see what book we are reading. All right. Bye, scholars.